Welcome to the Polœuric podcast.
Start recording. Okay. Welcome to episode 3 of the Polœuric podcast. I'm Katherine, your host, and these are missionaries, elders, and sisters. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
I'm Sister Furman, and I am from Ohio, not for 9 months.
I am Sister Niwafe, I'm from Tonga, and I've been out for a year.
I'm Elder Sorensen. I'm from St. George, Utah, and I've been out for 18 months.
I'm Elder West. I'm from Kaysville, Utah, and I've been out for 9 months.
I'm Elder Ningshadan, and I've been out for 15 months. I'm from Virginia.
My name is Elder Watson. I'm from American Fork, Utah, and I've been serving my mission for 2 years.
And I'm Katherine, and I've been on this planet for 26 years. Okay, so I want to start with something that sounds small but actually represents a bigger question for me, because I used to be a strong caffeine drinker. Why are some rules so specific? For example, we can have caffeine but not coffee or green and black tea, so how do we make sense of this?
It's a great question. I'd say for me it starts with the idea of obedience. And so there's a lot of things I don't quite understand with why we do them, especially with green tea and coffee, because I know there can be some benefits. But to me, I know that the Lord always applies a blessing with a commandment. And so when we sacrifice, I know that I'm receiving something in return. And sometimes I don't necessarily know what that is, but I have trust and faith that it is for my gain in the end. And so it's worth giving up some of those things.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, time to get serious. I'm just kidding. So how do you guys personally, maybe one or two of you, how do you personally understand the word of wisdom?
I personally understand the word of wisdom as something that keeps us apart from the rest of the world. Because we know that kind of in the Old Testament, that God gave the Israelites commandments to keep them from the world, to keep them separate in His people, His covenant people. And so for me, like Edward Sorensen said, there are blessings that are attached to it if we do follow it. But overall, to me, for me personally, it's something that keeps me different and keeps me separated from what everyone else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of add on to that, we know that one of the commandments is to not worship any other gods. And the word of wisdom is one of those ways that we follow that. We know that these worldly things can tend to replace God. We know that as members of the Church of Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints, that we want to put God first. And with these little things like tea, coffee, smoking, like illegal drugs, all these things can take away from our lives and keep us off-centered from what the truth is and what we want to become, who is God.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Cool. Okay, so how do we make sense of tithing, especially, I know we brought this up last week, especially the idea of giving specifically 10% when people are already struggling financially?
I think it traces back to the Bible and how God has always asked us to give something. It might not have always been money, but He's always asked us to give like a broken heart, a contrite spirit. And we know everything is from God. All these blessings come from God. And so when we give our 10%, it's showing God that He's our number one priority, that we're grateful for what He's given us. And people do struggle with money, like financial things, but I love the story of the widow's mite, how she gave all she had, and God promised so many blessings from that. And so when we give what we have to God, we know that God promises to open the windows of heaven for us so we can have blessings that we need.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sister Furman. And the next section is on God's plan versus human choice. So if it's all God's plan, how much free will do we really have?
It's a good question. I think God has given us a plan, but we have our free will to choose whether or not we follow it. And so God's plan for us is to make good choices, to be baptized, to follow him, and to try and be like Jesus Christ. But that doesn't mean I have to choose to follow that plan. I can go off and do whatever I want, but that also means I don't get to see the gift at the end of that plan. I don't get to live with God again if I choose not to follow his plan.
Mm-hmm. But if we do whatever we want, isn't that still part of God's plan? Or is that outside of God's plan?
I'd say it's outside of God's plan, because I guess we're still living in his plan, but his plan is for us all to return to live with him. And so there's choices we can make in this life that wouldn't allow us to live with God again, because we wouldn't feel comfortable in his presence. And so while we're still living on earth as part of his plan, our choices and actions in this life, based on our free will, determine where we end up after this life.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Did God create us to find him, or are we choosing him freely? Or like, is there like a ratio, like a percentage of our free will that chooses him? Or did he create us to find him?
Yeah, I would say he didn't create us just so that we could find him. Because we know before this life, a fundamental part of our doctrine is that before this life we lived with God as spirits. And he laid out this plan that he has for us to come to earth, to have experiences, to gain this body that we have currently, and to continue to learn. And we know that from those that from everyone that is here right now, those are the spirits in this premortal existence that chose God, that chose to want to become more like him, like he wanted us to be. He wanted us to have more potential than what we were as spirits. And yeah, for me, that's just really the main part of why I joined this church, because I'm choosing him. At the end, it's like Edward Sorensen said, we have our free will. But I think that our end goal, I guess, is to continue to choose.
Mm-hmm. So we actively choose him every single day, every moment of our lives. Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting how like Satan's plan was to take away our agency or choice to choose to live with God again, but that's why we needed Jesus Christ. So we could still have our agency, but we all make mistakes because we're imperfect, but we needed him to be our savior, so through him we could still live with God again. Even though naturally we all make mistakes, we all choose things that aren't following God. And so God had this plan for us, like Elder Ning was talking about, but he also sent us Jesus Christ because he knew that we're all imperfect and we would use our agency in ways that go against what he would want us to do.
Thank you. From your view, why does God work through organized religion instead of just individual spirituality?
It's a very good question. I feel like if we look back, especially in like the New Testament, as we read the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, we can see that Jesus Christ actually established a church. His ministry wasn't just spiritual. It was his church. It was the Church of Christ. And so we know that his church was ordained and set apart a specific way. We know that in his church, he had the authority, which we call the priesthood. And with this, we know Jesus Christ ordained 12 apostles to follow him and to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to all the world. And so as members of the Church of Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints, we actually follow that same way. We believe in a latter-day prophet. We believe in 12 apostles. And we believe that this is his work, is to gather the world and preach his gospel the same way that he did.
Thank you. Does a belief system have to be true in order to be helpful? And this could go for any religion, not just the church.
No, I don't think so. I think we can look at, well, I guess we can find truth in every religion, right? we aren't Buddhist, but if we look at the Buddhist faith, they have morals and values that are true character of Christ. That even though it might not be patterned after him, the truth that they have is what's bettering them. And so I guess in that sense, it's not Jesus Christ that is making them be good people, even though we follow Jesus Christ to become better. So even though they aren't seeking after the same thing, they still have high potential to become fantastic people in this world, to be guided to do really good things. And I guess it's just a different perspective for them to look at it than from what we do.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, so on doubt and certainty, do you think doubt is welcome when someone is already a member, already part of the church?
We were studying a talk last week, and one of my favorite parts was your faith can grow even in times of doubt. And so I think probably almost every member of probably every church has had doubts at some point in their life about some sort of doctrine, or maybe if God's hearing them, or just about any of their beliefs. But like Joseph Smith had questions, and he took it to God, and that's how he found answers. So I think questions and doubts are okay if we turn to God and we search for the answers, and we go to places to find the truth from good sources.
Cool, thank you. What is a question you personally don't feel fully resolved on? Or maybe we don't have any.
No, it definitely has a lot. Just think someone else should talk. I talk too much.
That's okay.
I guess one I can think of, something I don't quite have all the answers for. I really am interested in the history of religion and I guess God. And so I guess my question would be, why did he start the writing with Moses? Why did he start there instead of having Adam start a record and pass it down? And I guess also, how do we know what's necessarily complete truth if most of the scripture was written by scribes, especially with the Bible, and then passed down to other people? And so I think for me it leaves a lot of room for uncertainty and sometimes doubt of like, is this really true, and can I rely on this as a good source of knowledge? But luckily we can see a lot of consistency, and that's what the Book of Mormon does, as well as provides a second witness. And so some of those things that I maybe am questioning or wondering about, I can study both books. And if it's not like a solid teaching, then I can kind of throw it out or put it as not as important as the doctrines that are mentioned and foundational in both books.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. As missionaries, do you ever feel pressure to perform certainty or deliver certainty? It's faith, right?
Yeah, I would say it's like yes and no. I think on our mission we can all agree we've had experiences of feeling the Spirit and knowing we are doing God's work. And so I would say, like, most of the time we are certain with what we're doing because we have a testimony and we choose to came out. But I think there also might be times where we are uncertain. I think that's what you were saying, like faith comes in and we trust that God will help us through it. But we also have places that we can go to when we are uncertain and we don't have to like hide it as missionaries.
I feel like there's a large support system we have in the church. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. If someone sincerely prays about the Book of Mormon and doesn't feel an answer, or prays to God and worships Him, what should they do?
We know that God speaks through people. in different ways. We know that as children of God, we each receive what we call revelation differently. We know that we can talk to God through prayer, and He can talk to us through revelation, whether that's a spiritual prompting in the heart, in the mind, or whether that's in the scriptures. And so often as missionaries, one of the first things that we do is we invite people to read the Book of Mormon and to pray about it. And there's some people that tend to not receive their answer right away. Doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that they weren't ready to receive the answer. I know for me, growing up in this faith, I didn't really know if I truly had a testimony for myself, if I really knew like the Book of Mormon was true. But as I studied and I pondered and I prayed about it, the answer didn't come right away. It came gradually as time went on. And so we know that revelation and seeking truth, it all works through people differently. We know that the Spirit speaks to us in ways that we'll understand. And unless we're in tune with it, and unless we have a humble heart, and we have a sincere desire to search for the truth, I believe and I know that God will show it to us.
Thank you. On obedience, so more specifically, Moroni asks readers to pray to know if the book is true. What does an answer feel like? In follow-up to the previous question.
Yeah, going off of what Elder Watson said, the answer to that question can come in tons of different ways. It can come from somebody reaching out, even talking about it, or it can come from something that you hear, or just a simple answer where you feel good about it. I know personally that sometimes when I pray about something and I don't receive an answer, I keep reading or I keep studying, and sometimes it just starts making sense. And so it just comes in tons of different ways as an answer, through either somebody answering your question for you, or you just feel good about it, or even you just keep studying and it slowly starts to make you understand why.
Awesome, thank you. Nephi says, I will go and do. Is that faith, obedience, or spiritual confidence, or all the above?
I would say all the above, because from his experience, he knows that, like at that point, God helped them escape from Jerusalem. And he's also prayed at that time about some of the things that his father had said, the Lord confirming it to him. And so I believe he knows that God will, like at that time, help them retrieve the brass plates from Laban. And along with, well, you said it was spiritual confidence.
What was it? Yeah, spiritual confidence, obedience, and faith.
Yeah, I think it's all the above, because he knew and was confident that as long as he kept the commandments and followed what the Lord what command, that he would provide a way.
Thank you. Where's the line between trusting God and suppressing your own judgment, if you do have to do the latter? Feel like you have to do the latter. Or is it 100% trust in God?
My kind of theory is that our judgment often is aligned with God. And so the Spirit works in a way that it patterns our thoughts and our actions. And so if my judgment is that I should go to a certain university over another, then I take that as, okay, God has prompted me to do so. And maybe it'll work out that university doesn't end up being good, but at least then I knew and wasn't doubtful. And so I think following your gut or following your judgment often is following God, because deep down we always know what's good and what's bad, whether or not we try to hide from it or ignore it. We always know. And when it comes to those choices that maybe aren't necessarily good or bad, I think that God trusts us in a sense to follow him and to make good choices. And so I think he trusts us that as we follow our best judgment, things will work out.
Yeah. I agree. Okay. Okay. On adulthood in heaven, how much of well, this is Mormon. How much of how much of Mormon adulthood is shaped by marriage and kids? Do you think?
I think we know that marriage is, like, families are central to God's plan for all of us. That we're here on earth so we can have families to learn and grow from each other. And so I think a lot of members of our church, that's something that they are seeking for, to get married and to have families. And I think that does shape us a lot in our adulthood because it's a big change from, like, where we're at now to where we'll be when we're married and have families. But we trust that it's part of God's plan, and we know that, like, marriage between, like, a man and a woman, because of that, it helps us to learn and grow even more, become more like God, so we can live with Him again. So I think it does shape a lot of our adulthood.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, so then what happens if I stay single my entire life?
That's a good question.
Will I be, like, alone in heaven, or I'll have friends?
So,
Like,
God has promised that every single soul will be given equal opportunity, whether in this life or after this life. And so, we know that if you weren't to find that person here, you'd have the opportunity to find that person after this life. And if you chose not to at that point, then yeah, you'd still be with, your loved ones, your family, your friends, but maybe you wouldn't have a family of your own that you're with in heaven. But it still would be a joyous experience and a joyous reunion because you're with God, surrounded by the people that you love. But I think it's important to note that everyone will be given that opportunity. Same with the ability to have children. Some people can't have children physically. My sister can't. And so God has promised her that she'll have every opportunity. So I know that after this life, I don't know exactly how it works. There's that uncertainty again. But I believe that she'll be able to have a family of her own someday.
Thank you. Is there a singles ward, do you think, in heaven?
Good question. Probably something like that. It's gotta be, right?
Yeah. So I just visited the Yorba Linda Temple open house, and I got to sit in the celestial room. So is the celestial room like heaven, a waiting room, or symbolic, or like all the above?
We believe it's all of the above. I would say that the celestial room is like heaven on earth because there's no other place like it. We know the temple itself is a sacred, holy house of the Lord, and that as members of the church we can go there to ponder and pray and perform sacred ceremonies and ordinances for our loved ones that have already passed on. And so we know that when it comes to the celestial room, I know for me, it's a very holy and a sacred place where I'm able to ponder and pray about the thoughts that I have about life and the future decisions I need to make. And I know the celestial room is perfect for those times, and I know it's for all of us to be able to have peace and to feel that light that we will one day all receive when we return to live with God again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love how he said that, like, the celestial room is like heaven on earth. And I know before I came on my mission, I used to work in the temple for almost like 2 years. And I just that's my favorite room in the temple, is the celestial room. The feeling that you get inside is just like feel peace, comfort, and like when you pray to God, He will answer your prayer inside that room.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So there's no pickleball or basketball in heaven?
I guess we'll find out. When you talked about the YSA, that's what I thought of. Was like, are we going to be doing like sand volleyball in heaven?
Water parks?
Yeah.
Never-ending happiness, I would hope.
There's
Not
got to be
pickleball.
something.
Yeah.
There's got to be.
Or maybe we'll be happy without those things.
We'll see, I guess.
Satisfied. Yeah, thank you. Okay, if Jesus were alive today, do you think He would use technology like AI to teach, minister, or reach people? Or so that question first. Or you don't think He would need it?
Well, we know that in the New Testament, Jesus taught the people at the time using parables and things that they knew. And I mean, I'm not sure about specifics about AI, but I'm sure that if Jesus were alive today and he was still teaching us about his gospel and relating that gospel to everyday life like he did with those fishers and farmers and peasants and basically all the poor people, I feel that he would maybe start getting to that point. I'm not sure about AI, but there could be a good chance,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure.
Perhaps, yeah.
I guess kind of my thought is when thinking about AI, it's to find answers to questions or to, I guess, write your essay or write code or do this or that. And I think that Jesus Christ, since he has all the answers, I think we would just go to him instead of going to anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know that he'd really need to use AI in that sense. Even if, say, he just used YouTube, like, he could touch the entire world just with that.
Right, yeah.
You know? And it's purely his own words. And I think with AI it's fantastic, but it's hard to find what's really true sometimes unless you're very specific with what you ask. And so asking Jesus Christ himself, I think, would be the best way to find answers to your questions
Yeah.
without uncertainty.
I guess it's about like spreading information nowadays. How fast it could, like a TikTok could go viral.
Yeah.
He'd probably be the greatest influencer.
He would be, yeah. Just walking on water.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. What do you think his first question to if he were to use an AI? What do you think his first question to an AI would be?
I think he'd ask what he asks everyone. Who am I? He'd ask AI, who is Jesus Christ? I think he would, like, I guess that's kind of what I think of.
Mm-hmm.
To try and get a scope of what this robot thinks he is. And then seeing how right it is.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll teach the AI.
Mm.
Morals and ethics. Okay. What part of being a member of the church are you most proud of?
I would say knowing that we're like literally part of Jesus Christ's church and that his church has been restored, and because of that we have the blessing to share that with others. And so I think I'm most proud to know that we are all disciples of Jesus Christ and we're following him in his church.
For me, I would have to say that we have the answers to the questions of the soul, especially from the Book of Mormon, which is another testament of Jesus Christ. We know that we use the Bible in our church. We believe in the Old and the New Testament, but we know the Bible itself can't answer all of our questions. And so having the Book of Mormon, too, as another witness, for me, it's such a joy and it's such a special gift that God has given us to be able to know how to find truth, to know what our purpose is in life, to know where we're at after we die. People often wonder, like, why do bad things happen to good people? And we know that the Book of Mormon truly does answer all those questions and shows God's love for us. The way I like to explain the Book of Mormon is that it's a literal letter from God that he's given to his children for this day. And with me, I'm eternally grateful that I get to read this letter whenever I can and study and ponder and pray on it, because it's given me a lot of light and a lot of truth in my life and gives me joy for the next life to come.
Thank you. What do you hope people misunderstand less about missionaries?
Maybe that we're like forced to be here. I feel like sometimes people think it's part of our church, like you have to go on a mission. And like for the men, they're encouraged to go because it's the priesthood responsibility, and for sisters, we're encouraged to go because we know it's a great opportunity to serve the Lord. But each one of us made the decision to come out on our own because we want to be here and we want to serve the Lord and we love this gospel and we love the people we're serving.
Awesome. And lastly, we'll go down the row. What has been your favorite part about serving with your companion? I'm assuming each of you are paired up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We could either side.
I would have to, I guess to start, I'd have to say that, like, you saying like specifically companions in the past or like present?
Your present companion or companions of the past,
Yeah, I would say specifically, I mean, I've learned a lot from Elder Sorensen. I learned a lot about, the gospel and the teachings. You learn about how you can live like with other people, dealing with different personalities and different behavior. Has given me a lot of light, and just learning from different perspectives of other people and what brings them joy, what brings them hope, opportunity. I feel like being with a companion, especially 24/7, like we don't really leave our own sights, but we know that it gives us a lot of practice for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and something for me as well, I think kind of along the lines of what Elder Watson was saying. Being with like a companion now kind of makes me not think of just myself like me, but more of we. And it kind of, just thinking about it just now, it kind of prepares me for after this mission. When I'm by myself, it's still not thinking of just myself, but me and God, who can help us through our trials, and especially having a companion like Elder West to help, and especially when we go out and teach. There are some things that I'll teach in a certain way that may not kind of click with the person that we're talking with, but maybe there's something that Elder West has something to offer and a teaching in a certain perspective that they'll understand better. And so that's what I like about it.
Yeah, and for me, just like in companions in general, it helps you figure out who you most relate to, or what are some of those attributes you're looking for in the future with people you can relate or have fun with. Because sometimes you have companions who are tough, but sometimes you also have companions who you have tons of fun with. So you get to see which characteristics go hand in hand. But something that's great about Elder Ning Sharon is that he goes out and we just go and have fun. We just talk about random things, and it's just having fun. And also the way he teaches, it's very unique, because sometimes I just am like bang, 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 teach. But he really understands people's needs and stuff like that. It's really awesome to see.
I'd have to agree with what Elder Ning and Elder Watson said. I guess all of them. Like you said, like, how much does adulthood line up with like marriage and stuff? This, like, being a missionary, I look at every experience as an opportunity to become a better father and husband in the future, because I'm stuck with him every second of every day. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not as fun. And you have to learn to love that person no matter what. You learn that you can't just give up and you can't just ignore them. But it teaches you a lot of really valuable lessons for the future, as well as when it comes to teaching, having a different perspective is very important, because God has blessed us all with different talents. And so, maybe my talents or experiences are for a specific person today, but tomorrow, maybe God will need Elder Watson to share an experience he had. And so, also, when it comes to like not knowing things, it's nice to have someone else who hopefully has something in their brain that can help you out. So,
Cool.
I think for me, I always learn a lot from my companions in the past, and Sister Furman too, about Christ-like attribute. I know for me, I don't like to humble myself to anyone, especially my sibling back home. And being here on the mission, I can see myself how low I am. I just know how to humble. I know how to love. I know how to do how Christ-like. So.
I think kind of similar being with companions, and it's been so fun to be Sister Nuwafe, and we learn Christ-like characteristics from each other. And so Sister Nuwafe has shown me a lot of patience and grace with my mistakes, and we have fun together. She has a lot of joy, and so I think being with companions all the time, you learn a lot from them, and you see Christ-like attributes in them that you want to apply to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you. Jesus is my companion. He's right here.
what would Jesus say he likes about you?
Ooh. That's a good one. I think to seek the truth. Yeah, to seek the truth, which is why I'm here. And my honesty. Yeah, and maybe like today's version, like the modern version, authenticity. Yeah. Anyways, cool.
I think I've known Catherine the longest here.
Yeah.
And she is so like open and willing to learn, and she's so humble and smart and kind. And so I think Jesus would definitely say that about you.
Oh, thank you, Sister Brenda. Okay, thank you. That camera kind of fried itself, but we'll see. It won't fry. Okay, we'll see. Oh my god, thank gosh I have freaking this camera too.
Something happened to this camera?
Yeah.